Here we go again. The air is getting thinner and thinner. We have arrived at number 7 of our ranking. And number 7 goes to Jose Raul Capablanca, born in 1888 in Havana, Cuba. Dies in 1942 at the age of 53 in New York City. Peter Capablanca, only world champion from 1921 to 1927, but still an impressive figure. What you got on Capablanca?
Yeah, well, I got exactly what you say, that he actually gets to this list as high as number 7, despite having won the World Championship only one. He wins against Laska in 1921. I think he will win 4 games, draws 10. And then he seems to be clearly the best player in the world for the upcoming years. I mean, Sonos has him 7 years, 1 month as number 1 on the list, and his peak rating is as high at 28.77. But then he loses to Alekine in 27, quite surprisingly, actually, I think, or I would say even say very surprisingly, to sort of, according to the sources of the time. I think Capablanca was seen as the huge favorite. But Aliahin managed to beat him, and that puts an end to his reign. So I think the reasonable question is, why do we have him so high? And I think we does because we think he was really clearly the best player at the time, right?
Yeah, there's that. Also, I would argue he's only world champion starting from 1921, but you could make a case he's clearly the best player way before that. I think from 1909 till 1912 he's considered the best. He tries to get a match with Lasker, which doesn't happen. Also, from what I read, it sounds a bit like Lasker is doing his part to avoid that match. Maybe he felt how strong Capablanca was, and his results are pretty dominant through the 1910s already, where Lasker as the world champion is not that active. Just that match doesn't materialize until 1921. And then the big argument in favor of Capablanca is, well, first of all, he has this unbeaten streak, which is impressive, from 1916 till 23 or something, which includes a world championship match. And there is the accuracy of his play. I think even with modern engines, at some point someone checked this, that Capablanca was just, compared with anybody across eras, the most accurate player, not blundering anything ever, which is, if you're so early in chess history comparably to the rest of the list, just freaky. Of course, you could make the case he plays less complicated chess in more clear-cut positions. You're less likely to blunder than, let's say, Aliahin or Kasparov, who play more complex stuff, but it's still very impressive. And to me, the name stands out, like, throughout chess history. Once again, this is not scientific or anything, but if I think of the great champions that you come across early, Capablanca is always there as a giant name.
I agree. I'm also brought up with that. I think a very early coach I had borrowed me his book about Capablanca's best games and such, and there is also a book about his best endings that made some influence. He's always mentioned among the very bigs, and well, of course, looking at his results, we can start debating, are we just biased with what we have grown up with? Because his record is good, but not necessarily great. I mean, we just debated two persons who have won 5 world championships both, right? But
it's the skill of getting into the world championships as well, which I don't know how highly we can rank.
I mean, at this point it was more difficult.
Not speaking about Vichy here, by the way.
No, that would be really unfair. Capablanca could have won more. I think he's, we say 7 years as world number 1 according to Sonas, but I think that spans over a 20-year period and such. And under normal circumstances, given the option, he would have won much more. And you said a long unbeaten streak. And also, I think this computer thing means a lot because that's a very objective thing and such. And
you would expect him to do much worse than modern players.
Yeah, I mean, if he's actually doing well compared to modern players, it's just insane. I haven't seen the survey, unfortunately, so I'll hold you responsible. But it sounds very likely. But no, this seemed to be the impression of everybody judging, that Capablanca was something special for his time. And, also that it suddenly ends and he doesn't try to, I think he would like to win it back, but he doesn't really get
He tries to get a rematch, but doesn't really materialize, I guess, for various reasons.
No.
And we should also mention... Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
No. I think somehow the clarity and sort of his playing strength is what impresses us. I don't know if he gives the impression of someone incredibly ambitious in a way.
No,
I think
he didn't like to play chess.
He's just so good at it.
Knock on him. He's just incredibly good.
Yeah, and he finishes off Lasker, as we will see, in a very convincing manner and such. And you can say it's a pity he didn't get the chance to do it earlier, because that would have probably added to his legacy and such. But I think 7, you can argue, is high, but I think we're just taking the quality of his games in a way, and he's sort of supreme.
Yeah, also just dominance over peers.
No, exactly. We just had Botvinnik and Vichy, who has more wins, but considerably less dominance, right? I mean, Capablanca really seemed at his peak to be just much, much better than his time. Right?
Yeah, and also in 27, it's a surprise that he loses, but we should also mention, you probably notice, Ayekhin has not been on this list yet, and you won't be surprised that he will be on this list. It's just too historically great.
Yet either, so I mean, he's still with some tough figures.
Yeah. But especially losing to Ayekhin, he just coincides with another incredibly great champion there, which, is a tricky debate, but in general, these two figures do stand out in chess history, and I think rightly so.
Anyway, let's see how he does it with Lasker.
This is against Lasker from their 1921 match. In a way, it's a typical game for Capablanca. You won't see a lot of fireworks. But
it's a bit interesting that they play the classical Queen's Gambit. I think Capablanca more or less thought this was the death of chess and draw, and this was a correct opening. And he's right as we speak in 2020, but in the, let's say, 1950s, he would definitely not be right. I don't know if he just got it right by chance, or he's just way ahead of his time. But
also, he's more into correct stuff or classical stuff than, I don't know, playing the King's Indian, posing maybe more practical problems for his opponents. That wasn't his cup of tea, no, but he was so good at, making sound moves. So you get this isolated pawn's position, and he just places his pieces on proper squares.
Your b5 is a nice move, right? Sort of simple tactic, but still, I mean, the queen is a bit squeezed, but there's just a lot of harmony in his play in the upcoming things, right?
There's also what he's known for. This is not a combination, but this petite combinaison by Capablanca is something I came across early as well, like little tactics to complement his strategy. So not much happens really. They get the structure. Which
BC6 is nice. It stops the d5 equalizing and such. And I think by side you could argue what is the weakest, the c pawn or the d pawn, or is the c5 square relevant? But Capablanca gives an answer to that question.
Yeah, I'm not sure if white is worse here, but he gets very badly outplayed from this position. Now already, it's not really a question who's better.
Karpov would later win, I think, a similar structure against Korsner in the World Championship match. And I think, if we have to compare him with players later, of course you can talk about Karpov. But I guess especially, this game, it just looks like Magnus.
That
will be my
I
first.
agree. That's also my association.
Yeah. This incredible accuracy and sort of technical ability, right?
Yeah, you can see it in all the moves. The little touches, h5, h4, making this knight very hard to challenge, gaining space. He's just...
And now the next one comes, right? Well, h5, h4 is classy, though. And again, maybe it's simple, but still, it's against Lasker.
Also, once again, even... Well, it doesn't look that simple to me, but even if it looks simpler to us, I'm not sure how obvious these concepts were in 1921. No. And he just creates a second weakness, and this is a famous endgame. I think it's well analyzed in Cheryshev book, for example. All these principles. Do not hurry to weaknesses, and so on and so forth. He's just outclassing him. very badly.
Yeah, he has the better structure. Still, it takes some effort.
The knight was nice on f5, goes to an even better square on c6, controlling this b4 square. And then in the end, there is this small combination, but pawns were falling already. So it's not really a blunder. There's just nothing to do. King e2, rook b3. And Capablanca converts this advantage effortlessly as well. In general, effortless is how his play looks, and I'm also not sure how much time he put into studying chess. He's not known as a big openings guy. There's this quote, he'd never read an openings book at some point when he's a world-class player and so on. But
there is this famous anecdote that he showed up in a game against some opponent in tennis equipment because he thought that he could beat him in time. And he did win the game, so that's fair enough. But I think the opponent said, well, it's a bit dark for tennis now because he actually managed to resist for a while. But you see, he gives the impression of someone who was enjoying life and being incredibly good at chess.
Yeah, it's just, well, it's this usual tricky debate about nurture versus nature, how many hours he had to put in and so on. And I don't know how much he thought about chess and so on and so forth, but it feels like he had some just unique gifts for the game.
No, I mean, this is against Laska in a World Championship match. It's just a completely different level of understanding the whole way through and calculation, etc. Of course, it's just in the latter stage of Laska's career and such.
But also this game, if it was a modern tournament, some other top grandmaster against Magnus, you wouldn't be surprised, right?
Not at all.
Magnus can do the same things as he mentioned.
No, I mean, this looks very modern in a way. I mean, well, you will see people provoke more and fight harder for the initiative and such, but in sort of soundness, he's there, right? So, I understand why you like him at 7, and you have convinced me that it's actually fair enough because his dominance and chess skills are very, very high.
Yeah, it's the usual debate. You can obviously make a case for having him and Botvinnik Reversk or him and Vichy because they just have way more World Championship titles, but I think circumstances plus raw skill, give us a decent reason to put him.
No, so his dominance is maybe not like Morphy, but he does have considerable longer durability and results and such, right? So it's sort of
also in a way it's similar to Morphy. They're just so much more accurate than their peers. Of course, Capablanca plays Queen's Gambit, declined and not King's Gambit, but I think their cases are somewhat similar. That they're so superior, they make so few mistakes, especially for the times that
no, I think with both of them we sit back with a taste of that. Well, we would actually like them more challenged at their peak, right? I mean, it would be an extremely interesting thing, right? I mean, well, Capablanca gets challenged late, and then somehow he's not really up to it because he seems like he's not used to resistance, right?
He's not even that old, but that Ayechin, who probably, I don't know, put in more thought or more work into chess, while Capablanca, was a surprise probably to him and everybody that he could not just buy.
I think that
genius.
If we have to compare surprises, then Aljechin over and Kasparov Kramnik, right? I mean, it's sort of similar to some extent, right? I mean, I think Capablanca was really expected to win this match.
Yeah. Although Aljechin over I sort of discount because I don't know the circumstances, and I don't think there's any doubt Aljechin was the stronger player. Well, Kasparov Kramnik, in that match, Kasparov was not the stronger player, and Aljechin Capablanca, I think it's the same. Aljechin just beats him fairly.
Yeah, but I mean, what I meant is that, I mean, maybe a few thought Kramnik had some chances, but no one saw him as the favorite.
Yeah, if you mean odds before the match, I agree.
Yeah. So, fair enough. Good.
Anyway,
and
that's
number
Mr.
7.
Capablanca at number 7. Thank you for watching.